All right, good morning, Welcome to Tacobout Live with Frank and Manny here on a Taco Tuesday in Del Rio, Texas. How you doing this morning, brother?
Doing good, man. I'm eager. Eager beaver today, bro.
Yeah, eager to get to talking about some stuff, especially this new year. So happy New Year to you all. Joining us here this morning, man. I had a pretty good New Year's. Some of my children were down, this weekend, so we had a nice time, and welcoming to the new year. And I think by like 12:03, bro, we were in bed.
Yeah, you did more than we did, man. we just chilled out, man. Of course, as the evening was progressing and building up, it started sounding like a war zone.
Yeah.
I don't know about your part of the world. For the audience, I see folks here in Nebraska, Alaska. Thanks for joining us. But out here, they sure love their firecrackers, man. And we had some of that big artillery sounding stuff going off right almost in our backyard, man. So it was pretty interesting. After a while, though, you can sleep through all that, and that's what we did.
Even in the morning, man, they were still popping off some fireworks and stuff like that. So, but we had a good time, man. I feel bad for my dogs. I have to bring my dogs in and stuff like that. They're kind of stressing out. But it was a good time welcoming in the new year. We got a lot going on, but it just seems like business as usual, man. On the border, it's still insane. No relief in sight, to tell you the truth, man.
Yeah. It's more the same. People crossing. Folks banking off tax dollars and politicians talking, and ain't nothing stopping, Manny. It's nothing slowing down. I've been speaking with some folks on the phone, fellow, border security activists and, just concerned citizens, child human trafficking folks. And there's no relief in sight. It's not going to slow down. It's actually probably going to pick up. We'll see. We'll see what's going to happen with the upcoming Congress. Yeah. And that's something we're going to speak about today. Might as well just segue into that, man.
Yeah, because, we got some big stuff going on this afternoon with the Speaker of the House. Kevin McCarthy trying to gain his position as Speaker of the House. Apparently, he's already moved into the office over there, thinking that he's got it locked in. I'm going to be honest with you, man. I don't support this guy whatsoever. In my opinion, he's a rhino. He's worse than a. I think he's the most liberal Republican next to Tony Gonzalez, right?
Yeah.
In the House.
Yeah, there's certainly been a lot of stuff that's been put out on him, Manny. A lot of folks research this. A lot of folks have sounded the alarm, but once again, it gets into that range of where people know the truth. You tell them the truth. They know the truth. They found out the truth. They've seen the truth. But there's also that next step. What are you going to do with the truth? And unfortunately, in politics, Manny, this guy's a scumbag. I mean, he's a sleazeball.
Yeah.
All you got to do is look at his actions, look at his associations. He took FTX money, which was that cyber coin, a digital coin Ponzi scheme that took place. But he took FTX money to work against America First candidates in the primary, the 2022 primary, and he caused the defeat of people because he flooded their establishment, candidates with money.
And it wasn't just thousands of dollars, right, Frank? It was like millions of dollars.
Millions of bucks, bro. So the guy is anti-America because he fought against America First candidates.
Yeah.
And people that would, not do the status quo. And meanwhile, to go back to what I was talking about, people are armed with the truth. But look, as well as I do, Manny, what good is a weapon to you if you don't put it in your holster?
Yeah.
If the time comes to pull the trigger, you don't pull the trigger.
Or if you don't know how to use it.
You don't know how to use it.
You don't know how to use it. One of the, and I'm a little... I don't know. It's kind of tricky too, right? Because they're talking about maybe Steve Scalise will, but he supports McCarthy. So I'm either way. I don't really get it. What's going to be the difference, right? I mean,
Yeah, if you all may recall, Scalise is one of those guys. They were playing. They had a baseball game up in the D.C. area, and he was one of the guys that got shot when a crazed guy went on and shot people up. But anyways, if you look at past footage, anywhere Kevin McCarthy was, Scalise was there.
Right.
He was the minority whip, and so he was at his right hand the whole time. So look, man, it's one of these things where what is the difference? What is the difference when they're both cut from the same cloth? I know that one of the persons that had voiced some opposition and had, I guess, thrown his name in the hat was out of Montana. So last I saw, and I think maybe we saw the same round of reports here, Manny. There was about 5 holdouts in the Republican Party that were not going to vote for him or were waiting for some kind of concession, or they just said, we are not going to vote for this guy.
Yeah, because as of right now, I mean, he's short of the votes, right? He's short of the votes right now. So they're talking about that it may go to a second ballot, which hasn't happened since the 20s. They said, the reports that I'm reading.
Yeah.
So he's short of votes right now this morning.
Yeah, and so folks might say, well, what does that have to do with anything? Well, it has a lot to do with it with stuff. It's like the same thing you're seeing here in Texas. Where people are talking about the committee chairmanships. When you get these people in charge of committees, and so the Speaker of the House would have a lot to do with appointment of. And there's seniority that comes into play and all that kind of stuff, but there's still a lot to do with, a lot to be said about the influence, the power, the backroom schemes that they can maneuver, the rules that they already voted for the rules and stuff like that, but there's a lot of power and influence that goes with that, and they can squash stuff, and so all of a sudden you saw McCarthy talking about stuff he hadn't really spoken about. And obviously, it was a move to try to get, win more votes. And look, this guy's a creature of the swamp. He's a swamp dweller.
Including, apparently, what I'm reading as well, he bought his entire caucus Chick-fil-A the other day as well, bro.
And so down on the border they buy with tacos, and up there they buy with Chick-fil-A. Is that what it is, bro?
Apparently, that's the way to go, man. You can win votes, gain votes by
Chick-fil-A.
with Chick-fil-A. So it's amazing, Frank. It's a sham. So I look at the Republican Party, man. And because last time when we had a Republican speaker, right, with Paul Ryan.
Oh yeah.
With Paul Ryan, that was basically McCarthy's fault as well, right? Because he dropped out like at the last minute, and the next thing you know, Paul Ryan gets in, and who was just a rhino as well.
Yeah, I mean, Paul Ryan, dude, and so folks research this. He sits on the board of Fox, or some board of advisors or whatever, but he's with Fox News. More notably, bro, they were in power. He was when Trump became president.
Yeah.
And they worked against Trump's initiatives. He still got a lot done, Trump did, but he had to work the whole time against the establishment, the globalists. And look, man, somebody said, appreciate the comments, appreciate the input, hope things get better. Yeah, prayer. I mean, we know prayer is effective. Miracles are worked through prayer. But also, what do we do? What can we do? And so, hey, look, for one, get informed, get the truth. And as I was saying earlier, my concern is you're just going to have people that, they get satisfied with the surface level stuff. Oh, well, look, man, either way, we're going to get a Republican majority speaker or whatever. And they walk away content with that. Yeah. Versus looking at the people, the action, what they've done. Kevin McCarthy's a member of the World Economic Forum as well, man. And if you don't know what the World Economic Forum is, WEF, folks, look it up. It's more globalist, one world order kind of stuff, man.
And it's a shame, because people have asked me, what do you think needs to happen with the Republican Party? Well, right now we need to get these rhinos out of there, man, because we're kind of stuck right now with a lot of these rhinos that people keep electing, simply because they have Republican next to their name. And Frank and I have been saying this since day one of our program, that these rhinos, I think, in my opinion, are the biggest battle that we have in regards, because the Democrats, Frank, they all band together, no matter how insane their ideologies may be, how ridiculous they may be. They're completely anti-American, and anti-God, and so it's amazing to me, man, that no matter how insane their ideas may be, the Democratic Party comes together and they put, you have a little infighting here and there, but the problem with the Republican Party, man, is we got all these rhinos running around here that continue to vote with the Democrats and continue to support the Democrats. Matter of fact, there are even some right now that are threatening that if McCarthy doesn't get in, they're going to go with the Democrats, and they're going to cast their votes with the Democrats. This is childish antics, man.
Yeah, and so, well, I was speaking with somebody this weekend, Manny, who said Americans deserve the government they get.
Yeah.
Something to that effect. Certainly there you always got to qualify, but there's a lot of complacency. Folks just look, man. Hey, a win is a win. It doesn't matter if the winner is dirty, rotten, corrupt, spineless, weak, stupid. It doesn't matter. Win is a win. So that's tragic in and of itself. But then we have a system, Manny, that has been hijacked, the election system. So we had a lot of good candidates that run in the primary season. I ran as an independent, so I would say the general, but to a certain extent, Americans, would agree there's something wrong with the election system, and maybe a smaller group, but this, significant number of Americans would say it's a selection, not an election. People are pre-selected, and they mess with the results to get the outcome that they want. And who's doing anything about it? In the case of my election, man, I called the election Secretary of State, election division.
Yeah.
I still haven't received a call back, bro.
And it's amazing. I was talking to some guys over the weekend, and they were telling me, man, they were like, I voted for Frank in this past election, Border Patrol agent. So that was nice that you had a lot of Border Patrol agent support. I talked to quite a few Border Patrol agents, and all of them told me they voted for you, and they were shocked, man. They were shocked that they were watching the numbers, and then all of a sudden you drop down within a few minutes from almost 40,000 votes to like 5,000 votes. They're like, what in the world happened, man?
Yeah. People saw it, bro. I had 41,000 something votes. Literally 15 minutes later, bro, from that initial the initial reports that went out, it was something like 8:13. Polls closed at 8.
Right.
8:13 is one of the earlier snapshots I have. 41,000 plus votes. The next update, 15 minutes later, I had lost 36,000 votes, bro.
That's amazing to me. That's amazing. And I was watching the numbers too, man. I saw them. All of a sudden, I saw them go down. I was excited. I told my wife, I said, "Hey, look at all the votes that Frank got." I think I went and got something to drink. I came back and I was like, "What in the world?"
Yeah.
This reminds me of Trump and of course Raul Reyes when the same thing happened to them.
At that point, bro, I was at 29%. John Lida, the Democrat, was a little bit. He was like at 30 something. And Gonzalez was at the end of 30. He was almost at 40%.
Yeah.
And so I haven't broken it down, a screenshot by screenshot of different pictures I have as it shows this ebb and flow. But honestly, just in a nutshell, bro, what I think, Manny, is you had an independent that was going to be a significant factor in a race, more than they go to the 4 or 5%. That's a constant narrative, the drumbeat. They say it, they say it, they say it, they say it,
right,
so that people believe it. And what was said was independent can't win, and the independent always gets 4 or 5% of the vote. I was at 29%, man, at that initial release of the vote. And so what did they do? They got me into that 5%. And so I was speaking with one of my sons actually earlier this morning about throughout the evening, I lost 36,000 votes initially. Man, let's just round it up, just very conservative, 40,000.
Right.
What happened to those 40,000 votes? And you look at the lead by which the incumbent won. I have no doubt in my head. The only thing is I can't prove it, but I have no doubt, bro, that my votes went to the incumbent, man.
Yeah.
And that's why some people call him the illegitimate congressman, because it was through deceit, through fraud. Many people
basically twice over, right?
Yeah, twice.
Basically twice over, because basically the same thing happened to Raul Reyes. I remember he was ahead, and I think I went to sleep because I was pretty comfortable with his lead, and the next thing you know, what in the world happened? Yeah. And then of course we find out who Tony Gonzalez is associated with. Soros and LULAC and all these other organizations. And
Chinese think tank research groups and stuff like that.
NGOs and everybody that needs to be in his corner to make sure that he gets and remains in office, right?
To keep the money flowing,
to keep the money flowing, man. He's just a big money maker. And the sad thing is, now we got Tony Gonzalez here in our district, who's the second most liberal Republican, next to the guy we talked about at the beginning of the show, Kevin McCarthy. These two are the most liberal Republicans in the party, and sad to say, they're rhinos. They're basically Democrats, right? With an R next to their name.
Yeah, they are, bro. And they're if anything, man. If anything, I know some of this might sound like personal attack. Hey, calling somebody stupid, a moron, brainless. Oh, okay, well, whatever, man. Yeah. But just look at their voting record. Look at their actions. Look at their associations. That'll say it all, man.
Yeah, and I'm gonna be completely honest. Those who voted for Tony Gonzalez to get back in, and people who continue to vote for Kevin McCarthy, it meets the criteria for the definition of insanity, because they're going to continue to vote the same way. I was getting comments, quite a bit back on our earlier programs. Well, I'd rather have this Republican than a Democrat. Folks, you're getting a Democrat. You got a Democrat, actually, is what happened. And now we got two Democrats, and one could be the Speaker of the House here by this afternoon. But I think it may go to a second ballot. That's my opinion. I think it's going to go to a second ballot, but which hasn't happened. But even so, we still got a long road ahead of us in regards to the Republican Party, and in getting people out, and then bringing more independents in, that support the Constitution, that support America. The people we have right now, especially like in this district, they don't support the Constitution. They don't support America. So, but anyway, and then of course, we got to go a little bit to the border crisis. The border invasion was happening over here as well. It's insane, Frank. Talking with agents this past weekend, quite a bit of agents, and got to see some of my old buddies that I worked with, and it's sad, bro. They are completely overwhelmed, man. Mm-hmm. Completely overwhelmed. They feel abandoned, and it's sad because their bosses basically have a gag order on them. And then something that they told me was pretty interesting, and I've noticed it, that are odd, that they're not getting any more alerts from Tacobout Live on their pages anymore like they used to. They even asked me, "Hey, you guys still got your program on, right?" I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "We're not getting alerts. We're signed up." And I've noticed that the people that we're reaching is not in the numbers that it used to be.
Yeah, definitely they're gonna try to squish, man. Try to tamp down the and when I say tamp down, suppress the voice of folks all over. I mean, I've known people who have their Facebook pages have just totally shut down, bro. Yeah. I mean,
well, we get threatened from YouTube like every
I get messages, you're not with community standards, whatever, something you said, whatever. I'm just waiting. That's why I do have a page, usborderpatriot.com, usborderpatriot.com. Going to be making that a centerpiece of just the central point. I'll be doing some writing and throwing some op-eds or whatever you want to call them out there, and but folks, they're going to shut us down. And just for background, so what Manny's talking about real quick about talking about a bunch of agents. Well, one of our good friends, David, retired. And he joined the ranks of the happily retired. Probably couldn't come probably a little bit. He probably feels like he wish he could be out sooner because of the way things turn. But anyways, congratulations to our friend David who retired. Man,
25 years?
25 years. And he was actually one of my trainee Border Patrol agents. I couldn't make it, as you can tell from my voice. I'm getting over a cold. I would have loved to have been there, but I just didn't want to take a risk of getting people sick.
Well, me and him went to the academy together, so
He was your
yeah,
classmate.
he was my classmate. Yeah.
So there was a big Border Patrol pachanga.
Yeah.
Retirement pachanga that just took place this weekend. Man, I would have loved to have been there. I saw some pictures. Saw a lot of guys that I work with, and it's always good just to be in the mean green family. Real quick, somebody here said, "Hey, what's up with them Border Patrols? They got pretty hard on my daughter at a checkpoint." Yeah, look, folks, it's hard to say. Sometimes you go through a checkpoint and they just look at you and they just wave you through, and sometimes you get the third degree. I'm not too sure. It could have been
driving by herself.
I think she said she was with her and the woman's grandchild.
Yeah.
It's hard to say, folks. What could be transpiring? Maybe they got bolos. Be on the lookout for something.
Single female with child, because there's common tactics that smugglers use. You know, and sad to say, sometimes it's a female with a child, man, and
it's hard to say, man. So look. These are definitely hard times, but our agents have been told, and for the most part, to remain professional.
Yeah.
And look, man, we're human. I know that our agents love to laugh and joke and have a good time, and interact with people. I mean, I go through some checkpoints. And, like, for instance, leaving Del Rio, you got to go through 3. You're going to go through one of at least 3 checkpoints. Maybe if you take a back road, there might be you might get stopped back there. There might be a impromptu, temporary checkpoint set up somewhere. But for the most part, the guys are friendly and, good folks.
Yeah, and, and it's hard to determine. It's hard to tell, what do you mean by, they were hard on somebody. It's, I wasn't there, so, I don't know. Some people just don't like questioning whatsoever. You know what I mean? Like, are you an American citizen? Wait, next
what do I look like?
What do I look like? And next thing they're arguing with you and all kinds of stuff. I'm not saying that happened, but I'm just saying that it's hard when you're not there. I appreciate the comment, but when you're not there, it's kind of hard to determine.
I remember one time, man, this dude rolled up into the checkpoint in 277 North. I'm just being friendly, man. He drives up. Hey, good morning, sir. How far are you headed today? Just a real quick, just a question. What the, and he just cussed me out. The hell is it any of your business? And I was like, look, man, just trying to be friendly. Obviously, you're a U.S. citizen. Go ahead, sir. And he looked at me, and you could tell he got at this kind of, look on his face. He felt bad, and he just took off down the road. Because at that point, I just walked away. I was like, man, dude, whatever, man. But I've been pulled over myself. I know what it's like, and so I've been pulled over by DPS, Border Patrol, K-9 units, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And so anyway,
it's kind of a way of life on the border as well,
it
man.
It is life on the border, man.
And so there's some areas that like when I said, there's a few times I've gone to go look at property in certain areas, and I expect I'm probably going to get pulled over because my truck is not known over there in that area, and it happens. So I just take it with a grain of salt, especially when I don't know the agent, because now we have a lot of agents that are detailed over here from other areas, and I have no idea who they are, but anyway,
So congrats, Dave, man, and to the Border Patrol family out there, Mean Green family. Hey, look, just stay cool, seek the Lord, treasure and cherish your family above all else.
And I want to thank the other agents that I talked to, man, for showing their support for our program. And because a lot of them were saying, hey, man, we appreciate what you guys are doing. We can't say anything because there's currently a gag order on our agents.
So much for First Amendment.
Yeah,
man.
So much for First Amendment. So they can't express anything. So which is sad, but so a lot of them were telling me how much they appreciate, us saying things and being able to, to stand up and to say what's right and to expose the border invasion, because, even though like we're here in Del Rio sector, which I was just reading just a little bit ago, that over this weekend, they were encountering more than 1,400 illegal aliens, and that now it's not even uncommon, Frank, that in a 24-hour period that they're apprehending more than 2,000 illegal aliens.
Yeah.
And which was unheard of, just a short while ago. Yeah. And so this is insane because now they're seeing numbers of more than 220,000 illegal aliens have been encountered over the southwest border. But what's even more interesting, Frank, is that I was reading this morning that northern border apprehensions have gone up almost 700%.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
During this fiscal year.
And the northern border, folks, has been always, historically been more open than the southern border.
Yeah.
Some folks would say, well, Canada, more civilized nation or whatever you want to say, because I remember catching, we catch predominantly Mexicans, and they would say, hey, how come you're more strict with us here on the Mexican border? They would say, because, some of these Mexican folks, they would travel, they would go back and forth. Some of the illegal aliens would catch. This was something they had done. They come in, they get caught, they return, and they would keep doing that until they could get in. They would go work, they go to the north.
Yeah.
And some of them would make it all the way to the Canadian border, and they would see Border Patrol operations over there. Things are different on the northern border. And so, once again, and we've heard the argument, Canadians and their immigration, and more folks from suspect, potentially terrorists from other countries would come in through the northern border. There's a certain truth to that.
Yeah.
And look at up in the Northwest. Remember when that one potential bomber was caught?
Yeah.
Up in the Northwest. I don't remember, it was Seattle or one of those Northwest checkpoints, Customs and Border Protection checkpoints. But anyways, Americans should be concerned, especially with this administration, that is certainly not going to do anything but open up the pipeline bigger, throw more money, as just happened in the omnibus bill, at bringing people into our country. That's what they're going to do, folks.
So who's not to say that processing centers start opening up there on the northern border? And I read my numbers wrong. It's actually over 800%. Have increased more than 800% since October 2022. And what's amazing, Frank, is that since October 22, that's the beginning of the fiscal year, the new fiscal year, right? So we're only 90 days, basically, into the new fiscal year, and already the northern border is up over 800%, right? And I think it's because all the Democrats have to do is come out and say, you know what? They just mentioned one word: amnesty. Yeah. They come out and with the possibility of amnesty, even if they don't do it, with the possibility of amnesty being allowed, and then Title 42 being lifted, which Title 42 doesn't really make a difference anyway, because they're still getting released.
It's just a buzzword, man. I mean, was it a tool? It was a tool. Was it?
Yeah.
But anyways,
the reality is that we didn't need Title 42 early on.
And just with the prospect of getting prosecuted and thrown in jail was a great deterrent.
Yeah, and because what ends up happening is a phenomenon, and I've talked to this about people, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a phenomenon that occurs when you start prosecuting and putting people in jail. There's a phenomenon, it's called self-deportation. People start heading south. People start leaving the country, man, because with the prospect of them getting apprehended or caught later on, something like that, they don't want to get deported. Reason is because a lot of the monies don't stay here, and I think people don't understand that. The illegal immigration is not economically viable for the United States because the monies do not remain here.
Yeah.
They don't pay taxes. And there are many states that are going to start allowing them to vote and want them to vote. And so you're letting a non-citizen vote who doesn't even pay taxes.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, supports their country of origin. So this is ridiculous. So of course they're going to keep people like Biden and all these other Democrats in power, because they don't support this country, and they'll never support this country.
And you got establishment, Republicans, man, globalists, bro, that they don't want this to stop, Manny. I mean, look at the incumbent congressman here, Tony Gonzalez, bro. Just recently, he moved out of the Endeavor's facility.
How convenient.
Yeah, after he had been inside an Endeavor's facility, for his entire first term. And, I and others repeatedly called him out on that relationship he had with the non-government organizations. It doesn't matter if you move your house, he's still in contact with them. Yeah. He's still in contact with Mission Border Hope down here in Eagle Pass.
Well, I think it's because people are starting to mention they want to investigate these NGOs.
And that's what it is, bro.
Yeah. If they go investigate Endeavors, guess who's going to be there at the front door, greeting them? So, of course he moves out. It's kind of, I don't know, it's ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, well, it's a height of hypocrisy, man. On a recent talking point, he said, look, the federal government, all they're going to do is build more soft-sided facilities. and talk about the height of hypocrisy. He pushed for that on one of his bills with Cornyn, Cuellar, and Cinema. He pushed for more soft-sided processing facilities, but it's that unfortunate aspect of politics, Manny, that the liars lie, and people believe the lie.
So here's
they don't bother to research.
So here's the hypocrisy in regards to that as well. So he pushes for soft-sided processing centers, right, which increases and encourages illegal immigration, right? With the illegal aliens and smugglers bringing over children, and then on top of that, he gets money for NGOs who are complicit in human trafficking and child sex trafficking.
He voted for the Ukraine bill, which, look, man, a lot of that money, I forget how many hundreds of millions of dollars. I think it was close to $1 billion in the initial $40 billion, and that shyster just came over and asked our Congress for more money, and he comes and does a sob story, waves a foreign flag in the halls of Congress, and these people freaking just bend over and open up, and just let him have it, because there's a bunch of money laundering going on, man.
So when do people stand up, Frank, and say enough of this corruption?
So that's the question, bro.
And that's the question, because we had an opportunity these past midterms, right? We had an opportunity to put people in office who are opposed to corruption, right? And yet the majority of these people that are corrupt and Democrats in disguise still got in office.
Because a lot of people, bro, continue putting their faith in the outcome of elections, Manny.
Yeah.
And you hear, we need to vote them out, vote them out, vote them out. Really? Look.
Then it comes down to it, and they're like,
the system. There's something wrong with the system. There's a lot of money. You get good candidates. I remember speaking with one of these persons, that. Not a pundit, but just a political strategist per se.
Right.
And he said, it's always the same thing every cycle, Frank. You get very idealistic, patriotic, America first, conservative, grassroots, persons that see the need to run for office, and they jump in, and they jump in with sharks, man, because the establishment pre-selected candidates are just waiting for them to jump into the pool. They throw money into the pool. It's a chum, that stirs it up, and these people never make it out of the primary process. They just get devoured. They get destroyed because they just get overwhelmed with money. And so, but the question is, So what takes place when the federal government, Manny, is obviously involved in the treachery and the downfall of our country, and then we have weak, people say, why do you bash Abbott? Because Abbott is sold out.
Yeah.
If Texans by now have not opened up their eyes and realized that Abbott, who is also associated with the World Economic Forum, it's one of those things.
Which is a globalist. They have a globalist ideology.
Globalist, one world, America destruction kind of groups, bro. It boils down to what we're saying. Well, he's a Republican. What were you saying, Beto? The election's over.
Yeah,
it's over. But what I'm telling you is, that things are not going to get fixed, Manny. We've seen it. We live here. We've gone to the border. We report on the border. There's other people reporting. What has the over $4 billion Texas tax dollars gained for you?
I'm gonna throw a picture up here.
What has it done for us? They spent over $4 billion in Texas alone. Governor Abbott, McGraw, the commander of DPS. What has that done for the state of affairs on the Texas-Mexico border?
And we can see. I just put a picture up there. We can see that in all this money that's being thrown at so-called border security, Frank. Look at this picture that we just put up. I just put up on the screen. It's hundreds, and now our agents are encountering over 2,000 per day here in this sector alone, right? So what has it really done? It hasn't done much. What does it, folks, is in the enforcement of our immigration laws that we already have on the books, and then defending the sovereignty of Texas. I've actually met Abbott, years ago. He was doing some stuff for our faith-based organizations, which I appreciated. Yeah. But all he has to do now is to basically cover cover his true intentions is to hold the carrot out in front of the wagon every so often, in front of the horse every so often. Like we're gonna build a wall, like we're gonna declare an invasion, we're gonna investigate the NGOs. So far, since he's mentioned investigating the NGOs, you know what I've heard?
What?
Nothing.
Yeah.
I've heard nothing about any committee. And he's known for his committees, right? He's known for his committees, putting together committees to talk about stuff every couple of weeks. But so far, nothing has come up on these NGOs. And these NGOs, folks, they're human trafficking and smuggling organizations. With paid for with tax dollars.
Yeah. So it goes back to what I was saying earlier, folks. Federal government this administration is treacherous. They've sold us out. Our in this case, 1,250 miles of U.S.-Mexico border, the largest state, a chunk of border with Mexico. What have those $4 billion gotten us? It continues. It's accelerated. Increasingly more people coming in. The forecast based on the initial 90-day period, the first quarter of FY23, fiscal year 23, it says it's going to be a record-breaking year, man. What I'm saying is our state government is not doing what they need to do. Our governor's not doing. Folks would say, well, what would you do? Would you do a better job? Look, man, if there is no will, to secure our home, if there is no intestinal fortitude, there's no guts, there's no spine, no tiene pelotas, to enforce our security. This is going
to stay in office.
It's going to continue to happen. Yeah. And so what would you do, Frank? Well, what I would do is I would get these people and I would just put them back, take them across the river. Just take them to the port of entry and just say, al sur rápido, back to the south as fast as you can. Go back. We don't want you in Texas unless you do it the right way.
Bro, Mexico's trying to do that to us for years, right? I don't know if you remember, times when we've had to go return illegal aliens, to Mexico, and Mexico won't accept them. Sometimes they'll be stuck on the bridge, right?
Yeah.
Until there's an agreement can come about. But, folks, 90 days into the new fiscal year, Border Patrol on the southern border, Frank, has encountered over 620,000 illegal aliens, right? Apparently, from what I've read, this is more illegal aliens than all of fiscal year 18. And we're only 90 days in, and already 620,000 illegal aliens have been apprehended or encountered. And then you have Mayorkas out there saying that the border is secure, right? Sad to say, the chief isn't really saying much either. Chief of the border is not really saying much either in regards to the border, and so agents are stuck in the middle, and so now then you have an increase of over 800% of the northern border, and then looking at their apprehensions, they're experiencing the same thing. Military-aged men are the majority of illegal aliens coming across into the United States on the northern border, just like the southern border, and I think we need to also get away from
crazy car pursuits. Did you see the one at the checkpoint up here in Uvalde, man? That car crash in Uvalde?
Yeah, I saw that.
There was actually shots fired. You see the Border Patrol just running out?
I should have queued that video. Man. That was sad to say that was happening. And then there was one that happened in Eagle Pass the other day as well, where DPS was chasing a smuggler who had a child in the trunk and going over 115 miles an hour, bro. Yeah. And with a child in the trunk.
And that's what I was saying. At the counties, most notably Kinney has done a lot, man. I mean, they talked about bringing militia in. They talked about, deputizing people. They made a big stink. And what has changed? It's still the same. That crazy car chase, and thank God nobody died in a head-on collision, that guy didn't go and ram into the back of vehicles at the checkpoint. And we'd be lucky to even get half a percentage point of people to do anything now, man. But anyways, and folks are saying, well, what are you talking about? Look, man, that's exactly the conversation that needs to be had. When our systems, our processes, have failed, our laws are not being upheld. Nope. Our laws are not being enforced. What can be done as we see the house burning down, Manny? We see the house burning down. We see the ship sinking. Women and children being trafficked. Drugs flooding our country. You know, God only knows how many of the crimes, violent crimes, and that are taking place in our country can be attributed to the wide open borders.
Yeah.
What is there left to do when the local entities, law enforcement, are overwhelmed or don't care, or maybe even worse, Manny, maybe are even corrupt? You mentioned Eagle Pass just recently. There were reports of down south, law enforcement personnel involved in smuggling as well.
Yeah.
An official, city official, I forget what city it was, the city vans being used to smuggle people, into the interior of the country. What do you do, man, when all our mechanisms, all our apparatuses, all the systems we have are failing, and we the people are just standing by looking, man.
Yeah, and folks, you have the ability to put the right people in positions, or you have the ability to put yourself in those positions as well. That there's a lot of folks that are starting to stand up and say, hey, you know what, I'm going to go do something about this. But then it's hard. It's hard because a lot of the people that that are opposing you they're connected with big time money. And so I want to apologize, folks, for I'm getting the texts and stuff like that our signal keeps breaking up, and I have no idea why, and except I don't want to be conspiracy theory or something like that, but a lot of times it happens when we start talking about certain topics, so I don't know, but I appreciate you guys, he's hanging in there with us, and so hopefully the signal gets back, and we just need to get a stronger tower or router or something high powered, so anyway, so I appreciate you guys hanging in there with us, but we got a little bit more time, but and we talked about the border crisis, but there's something that happened interesting last night during Monday Night Football. I kind of want to change topics a little bit. Damar Hamlin with the many of you saw it, maybe many of you didn't, but Damar Hamlin, a safety for the Buffalo Bills, suffered a cardiac arrest last night right on the field, man. And which is very, very concerning that this professional athlete, peak condition, right, suffers a cardiac arrest during a football game, right? And I saw it. I don't know if you saw the video. I don't know if you've seen the video. It's amazing. He gets up. He makes a hit, gets up, boom, falls right on the field. After a while, the ambulance comes out. They got to perform CPR on him. He's in critical condition right now, critical but stable. But what's amazing to me, Frank, is the first thing that came to my mind when I saw this happen.
He must have gotten zapped.
Something, right? Because a lot of these young athletes, brother, now they're calling it sudden adult death syndrome, right? That we've never really experienced before with these last couple of years, but now it's happening. Yeah. And I don't, and then it's kind of coincidental, right? That all this stuff started happening once the jab came into effect, right? Yeah. That all of a sudden these young athletes are
young people,
yeah. Are dying, and it's basically the same issue: cardiac arrest, blood clots, right? Inflammation of the heart, yeah. And it shouldn't take a genius to kind of put these things together, right? That something is going on, Frank.
Yeah. I mean, there's recent reports of talking about the higher, most of those, COVID-19 related deaths are for people that took the vax, man. Yeah. That got vaxxed. Yeah. Look,
vaccinated right now are outnumbering deaths, right? Yeah. They're higher.
I don't, there's definitely a lot of stuff out there on this. All I can tell you, man, just from a simple man's perspective, when the federal government tells you something is good for you, it's directly opposite. When the federal government tells you they're there to help you, directly the opposite. Yeah. When the federal government tells you they got your best interest at heart, directly the opposite. When the federal government was pushing this crap, it was directly the opposite.
And I'm talking to fellow veterans here. Frank and I were veterans, United States Army, and I'm talking to our veterans here. One of the first indications about how the federal government helps people, you look at the VA. You look at the VA. I know there's a lot of good people that work for the VA, but that's what socialist health care looks like. That's a prime example of socialist health care. How long does it take people to get an appointment? With the VA, and you just complain all over the place about the VA. But anyway, I'm not gonna bash the VA. But what I'm talking about, what my point is that veterans especially, Frank, veterans especially when they hear words coming out of the people in the federal government, like, hey, this is going to help you.
I'm sorry, man. I gotta, just the cynicism, the gallows humor.
Yeah.
Look, man, when the government says they want to help you, what's the opposite? They want to kill you. When the federal government says they want you to be free, opposite, they want you in prison. They want you enslaved. They want you to worship them. They are your God. They want to be your God. That's what they're pushing.
Yeah.
Look, man. I mean, quite honestly, when I say the federal government, look, there's folks at the top. There's people. There's secretaries of cabinet level, departments, etc. But unfortunately, Manny, there's a lot of sheeple, man. There's just a lot of order followers, and this is what we used to talk about. I remember, many a midnight conversation on the midnight shift, either with a fellow agent, just out there in the field somewhere or at a checkpoint or, whatever, talking with our fellow agents about, deep conversations about when the federal government, and meaning, secretaries and the president and, executive councils or whatever, order you to do something that is contrary to the United States Constitution, that is contrary to the rights of free people.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? What are you going to do?
Yeah.
And I think part of the conflict, so many of our brothers and sisters in green has been seeing the way that, our laws are not being enforced, and the Constitution, honestly, it's being endangered. Department of Homeland Security, Manny, was to be charged with, guarding over, watching over misinformation that's going out.
But they're the ones who are determining, right?
And once again, it's directly the opposite. They say, we're here to prevent misinformation, meaning they're going to squash the truth and they're going to spread lies themselves.
Yeah.
That's what that means, Manny. And so, Americans just need to wake up to that fact. It's the bare bones truth, man. So this poor young man has died as a result of.
Well, I don't know if he's died yet.
I'm sorry, he had a heart attack.
Yeah, he suffered a heart attack.
He's in critical condition.
Critical condition. But he's a top athlete. Peak. At the
those
peak
guys.
Condition. But and I assume because he's part of the NFL, because I know the NFL made it a mandatory, right? I think they made it mandatory to everybody.
There were a few holdouts.
Yeah, there were a few holdouts. I think they made it mandatory that everybody needs to get the jab. I'm not saying if he was a holdout or not, but folks, the reality is that there are young people are dying. Young athletes are dying. There's a report of a while back, I think it was last month or the month before, a young man who was training to be a professional golfer. I think his last name was Erickson, I believe. Went outside to go practice, but he had to take the jab in order to get involved in these tournaments. And his parents found him dead out there in his backyard, right? After he was practicing for a tournament. But but it's also reported that the deaths related to the jab have increased. This is insane, Frank.
Yeah,
more than 4,000%. More than 4,000%. And some doctors are even coming out now, and this is good because some doctors are even coming out now saying that the jab causes inflammation of the heart. It's related to stillbirths and even miscarriages. Yeah. Do you think these would be things that they would have found out before they released it, right?
Well, and so look, there was a whole series of steps, bro, that were ignored or bypassed or not even adhered to, observed in the approval of these drugs, Manny. I mean, look, the information's out there. It has been out there, folks. I mean, you can do your research into that. And what do they try to do, Manny? They try to shut down those voices. Thank God for like those doctors. I couldn't even tell you their names. The freedom doctors or whatever. You folks know who I'm talking about. Who from the very onset were sounding the alarm, about this. And thank God for the alarm sounders. Thank God for the Pablo Riveras, the Paul Reveres who run around sounding the alarm about different things. And thank God that there were doctors saying, don't do this. Your body has an immune system. Yeah. There's natural remedies. This COVID-19, it's been around. I mean, I remember looking at cans of Lysol, bro.
Yeah, they say right in the back.
It would say, it's from it's been around. What they did, Manny, is it's the proven formula. They sounded a false alarm.
Yeah.
And they used all their apparatuses, man. They used the media, radio, everything media. They used entertainment. They used the sports world, business world. They used everything, to say this is dangerous, and you got to get this vaccination, whatever. And then they went and offered pizza slices and bouncy games to people. And
That almost got me, bro. I'm just joking.
Was it the pizza slices or the bouncy castle, bro?
It was the pizza.
And man, look, I mean, yeah, we're making light of it, but look, folks, I mean, when they peddled this as hard as they possibly could, man, they try to shove it down your throat, literally. Yeah. They coerced people. They threatened people's jobs, man. They threatened people's ability to feed their family. That just told you it was evil.
Yeah.
There was something wrong with that.
Yeah.
And it's, look, I mean, folks, I know folks got jabbed. They're dealing with the consequences. All we can do is hope and pray, that you will be affected by this. Take care of yourselves. Take care of your bodies. Yeah. Fortify your immune system as much as you can.
And I'm not condemning anyone who's taken who's taking the jab or anything like that. That's entirely your choice. Yeah. But what I'm saying is that there's evidence out there now, and which from the beginning, I wish I should have put their website out there because I'm part of that. I subscribe to them, those Freedom Doctors as well, and I praise the Lord for them, man. They helped me out when I got COVID, and
it's convenient in the UK. You can just almost imagine,
yeah.
Going on, that affair going on, whatever over there. But meanwhile, here in flyover country, in America, just simple folks like us were saying, if it don't smell right, yeah. If it don't look right, if it stinks to high heaven, yeah. If it looks and smells like crap, it's probably crap.
Yeah.
And thank God, I thank God all their degrees in the wall,
yeah.
got them that knowledge. But anyways.
But it's funny, bro, because yeah, they may have all those degrees and stuff, but have doctors been wrong before?
Yep.
Brother, I remember way back in the day, you used to be allowed to smoke in hospitals, man. There was actually an advert
in the garden and sin and how it entered the human race.
Yeah.
And that was part of it, man. Questioning God, questioning God's intent, questioning God's will towards human beings, and is he, questioning His nature. Is God good? Is he really good? Is He really a heavenly Father, etc. And how deceitful that is. And so, what that's happened, Manny, is what's happened here is that our human society has been, just very deliberately since the fall, just getting worked on by the enemy of our souls, by God's enemy, Satan, to try to get deceive people, and it says in the Word of God, the enemy came to kill, to steal, to destroy.
Right.
And so that we've said it often, many, many, many times, that the underlying, under all these issues is that just that part of it is spread the truth and tell others the truth. And part of it is to prepare yourself, prepare your family, prepare your mind, your spirit, your body for that. Prepare yourself, spread the truth, and then look for opportunities. Look for opportunities to engage and be a positive influence, be a positive factor, to convince others and to spread the truth with them, and to work with those that are, working to spread the truth or working to free people. And as I say that, I think specifically of those that are trying to help families stay together, trying to help marriages stay together, trying to help families that are struggling with wayward children, the prodigal sons and daughters, and those that are ensnared and trapped in human trafficking. Yeah. Child trafficking that's terrible going on in our country. That's another thing that really angers me about our federal government. He's gone, man. He's gone. He's just a shell. Somebody else is pulling his strings. But here in Texas, man, our governor is not doing anything about the border because he's sold out to the World Economic Forum, bro. He's a globalist. Hey, folks, maybe this is a news alert to you, but Abbott is a globalist. He's a globalist, plain and simple. And so that's why nothing is being done.
If only gone up. Nothing. Man. No, there's been no decrease in anything whatsoever. Matter of fact, a report came out yesterday. I should have put it up here. A report came out yesterday that the Biden administration has deported fewer illegal aliens than any other administration so far. And so that a great majority of these illegal aliens, I think he only deported like 33,000 this past year, and that's ridiculous, folks. Because more than a few million have come in and have been released into the country.
I was thinking that's probably lower than 1%, man.
Lower than 1% of illegal aliens that have come into our country have been released into this country on their own recognizance. Here you go. Here's a notice to appear in court. You promise to go to court, right? And the reality, folks, is that they're not seeking asylum, because if they were seeking asylum, they would be showing up to their court appearances. But over 95% of these illegal aliens that are being trusted to be released on their own recognizance to show up to court do not show up to court for their asylum hearings.
Yeah, so you're asking lawbreakers, because they crossed the river illegally. You're asking lawbreakers to follow the process.
To follow the process. When initially,
to be good persons, follow the process. You came in already breaking the law. Now get into, now comply and get into the law-abiding process.
Yeah. And people keep talking about Title 42. Folks, we already have Title 18. In traffic that is coming through. Diseases that we haven't dealt with in years. There's an outbreak of measles up in the Midwestern states now, where a great congregation of concentration of illegal aliens is at right now. So measles is back. Yeah. Which was basically eradicated. And
if you mention this stuff, Manny, all of a sudden you're kind of some kind of hater or whatever. Look, folks, it's reality, man. I mean, just being realistic, doesn't make, and saying the truth doesn't make you a hater. A lot of these folks are coming from countries with substandard freaking, not just medical care, Manny, but substandard, food quality. First of all, is going to, keep an account of this. But once they have the numbers and the figures, the truth, are they going to put it out? About the crime associated with it. At some point or another, bro, you'll see converging paths where you'll see, the increase of people coming illegally into our country and the rise of crime in our country. And whether people connect the dots and, speak the truth, well, that's another different thing. But I would venture to say that along with this increasing crime, we're going to, with increase in illegal entry, they're already criminals. They're coming in illegally already. Yeah, they are. They're criminals, folks. Illegal alien criminals. Yeah. They're going to commit crime. Not all of them, here and there, but there will be definitely, I think, an increase in crime. And at some point or another, Manny, it will be attributable to the people coming into our country. And I hope to God, maybe, I don't know, if I wanted to be at the retirement party. I couldn't, obviously I'm getting over a cold here. But anyways, are they fingerprinting these people? Are they processing them? I've heard reports that they're not, like out in California, picking them up from the border and releasing them into the communities. I saw a report out of San Diego where there's outrage by city officials about that taking place. So I can only hope to God, bro, that they're at least getting fingerprints and pictures of these people.
So that's my question. If they're able to do that with illegal aliens that are coming here and just releasing them into the neighborhoods without any processing, why can't they just take them back to the border?
Yeah.
Go back south, And so anyway, but folks, we gotta get going. We appreciate you being here. We're sorry about the broadcast. I don't know what happens. It seems like every time we get on certain topics, things start happening with our signal.
Yeah, we hadn't been really having that issue, but
yeah, and all of a sudden now we're having an issue. So, and we're basically a small time broadcast, folks, just trying to get the truth out there, but it's a prosperous new year for you. But folks, please make sure you get you get out there and you say something, right? You say something and get involved in your communities. But more importantly, seek the Lord and give him thanks and praise him and worship him. And if you haven't put your faith and trust in Yeshua the Messiah, make that happen today. Let today be the day of salvation. And so we'll say God bless you, God bless America, and God bless Texas.